one thing.
Oh, she liked it.
Yeah, how can you not? I mean, perfect.
The funny thing is, I received a request to do a review, an online review of the product, and I can't
Why?
because it looks like you're endorsing something.
Can you host it?
Yeah, it's kind of,
Can I?
no. It's one and the same. I sent a message saying how happy I was and everything like that to him personally, but I can't.
Yeah.
I think that's funny to me. Because people do it, nobody cares, but
I wouldn't think, I wouldn't have thought. Yeah.
oh, we adjourned at her request. This case was originally adjourned to her request.
120.
And if you were pulling off of 95 and Wayne, 94 and Wayne Road, you should have been here already.
Yeah, you're right.
I think next Friday is good. I hope the weather's going to be good. That's what I wanted to look at.
Oh, yeah, just pulling it from the-
Monthly forecast. Let's see.
Well, it's gonna be 71 on Wednesday.
60 degrees as the high, partially cloudy.
For Friday.
That's not bad at all.
My mom was, when she was over, we were talking about her wish list, but I said, she goes, I'd like to go to the casino. I was like, what?
I'm staying out of that one.
Okay, Mama, I don't wish list.
Is she not a casino person?
No.
I haven't been. Oh, jeez. I couldn't even guess when.
I don't like the casino. I don't like the atmosphere. I don't like touching things that are dirt. I don't.
We went to the casino when we were down in Louisiana. We were in New Orleans 5 or 6 years ago. 5, 6, 7 years ago.
I bet that's a fun casino.
It was hot. So we walked, it got off of the train, off of the streetcar, walked to the casino to get something to drink and cool off and everything, and went right back out. We weren't going to gamble, we were just going to.
I'm not a gambler. No, no.
Mm-mm. When they first opened the casinos downtown, it was fun to go. When people come from out of town, they wanted to go, but then to me, the excitement of it wore off. And there were some nice restaurants in the casinos, and we went to those a couple of times, but
Yeah, I just heard, speaking of casinos, I heard on the radio this morning that one of the casinos is changing its name. Which one?
I saw the news story and it goes in one ear and out the other because it doesn't matter to me.
Right. I said to Mom, which one, Mom? Oh, there's one in Toledo. I'm like, how cute, no, but there's one in.
You don't know what she does when you're not around. You don't know what kind of wild and crazy lady she is.
I do not know.
You might be surprised. No, I don't know which one it is.
She's standing out there, I think it's her possibly, if that's the defendant, isn't it? Do you remember that?
I saw him standing at the rail.
Skinny looking guy. Usually Janie's pretty good about getting them in here.
Somebody just went in our office.
Oh, can't move. Where's it at?
He was at the upstairs station when I went out there a little bit ago.
I saw the email from Mariah.
Heather says she's going and she will give us notes, so we shall see.
the employees that work in depending on how busy it is, and help out, help out with the balloons or whatever.
Well, there's still people here who don't know their way around. Like when Gwen was leaving yesterday morning, she was gonna go out. And I said, you can walk straight through, or this will take you into the center hallway, badge out of here, turn left and badge out. No idea. If you go the same way all the time,
Yeah.
you don't think beyond, that's just the way I go.
The one door that I haven't gone in is the door that has the other elevator that's there.
This one right here, this elevator, it's right here.
There's an elevator right here?
Yeah.
Yes, I haven't been in that one.
I have not been in security office. I've been everywhere else. I've even been in the mechanical room. That was quite some time ago, but thank you, Officer Garcia.
Is that new?
New, he put it up last Friday.
Wow, that's nice. Very nice.
Glad you like it.
Yeah, I mean, it really sticks out.
Command strips on the back.
They do wonders.
He
don't
shipped it with command strips. I was like, wow.
they? No, it sticks right out. It's very nice.
Local guy, Livonia. Thank you. This is to 20163 FY, State of Michigan versus Zachary Russell Lloyd. May I have your appearances, please?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Sona Mosisian on behalf of the people, P83923.
Good afternoon, Danielle Carteret, 77162 on behalf of Zachary Lloyd.
And sir, would you state your name for me, please?
Zachary Russell Lloyd.
Thank you. Today is the day except for the exam in this matter. Are the people ready to proceed?
We are, Your Honor.
Is defense ready to proceed?
Yes.
Any preliminary matters, ma'am?
For the record, the people did send defense counsel a plea offer. In this case, the plea would have been to plead guilty to count 3, the domestic violence with 12 months of probation, mental health assessment, batterers counseling, and no assaultive contact. However, defense counsel has decided to move forward with this exam. So just for purposes of the record, that the people did offer that initially.
Anything else, ma'am?
No, that is all.
Any preliminary matters for the defense?
I'm just asking for a mutual sequestration order.
Yes, ma'am. Anything else?
No.
This matter is being streamed on YouTube. If there's anyone watching who may be potentially called to be a witness in this case at some future point, please stop watching the stream at this time. Your first witness.
Yes, the people call Ashley Akey.
Thank you.
No, if that's her daughter,
Good afternoon. How are you, ma'am? Wonderful. Would you state your first and last name and then spell it for me, please?
Ashley Ike, ASHLEYAIKEY.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear a firm testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you much. Would you come up here and have a seat in this purple chair, please? My secretary will be taking down your testimony. If for some reason she can't hear you, I'll ask you to either raise your voice or pull the microphone closer, okay?
Hi, can you please state your name again for the record?
Ashley Ike.
Thank you, Ashley. Do you know a Mr. Zachary Lloyd?
Yes.
And how do you know him?
He was my boyfriend and the father of my children.
I'm just gonna ask you to speak up a little louder. Sorry, you said he was your boyfriend? For how long were you two in a relationship for?
15 years.
And how many children do you have in common?
5.
Are you still in a relationship with Mr. Lloyd?
No.
And when did that relationship end?
And maybe 4 months that I said I didn't want to continue.
4 months, so like around January?
Yeah.
And can you describe your living situation with Mr. Lloyd?
My living situation now.
Oh, sorry, your living situation with him, I guess in the last 4 months.
I don't object to that. I just would ask that the questions be, my objection is irrelevant. And that the questions just revolve around the offense date in February.
The questions will revolve around the incident. It's merely just a laying of a foundation to describe why the incident happened in the sense of why Mr. Lloyd was at that residence at the date and time. Pretty much, and I can narrow my question a bit more if you would like.
The objection is overruled. You can answer the question, ma'am.
Okay, he was living there, but we were doing an alternating weekend thing where one of us would leave and the other would stay with the children.
Okay. And on the weekend of February 27th, who was going to be at that residence?
He was.
Sorry, say that again?
Zach was.
Okay. And where were you going to be?
I hung out with my family and I stayed at a hotel.
Okay, so in the sense, you were not at that residence
Yes.
during that weekend? Okay. And do you know why you're here today?
Yes,
And why is that?
because of the incident that happened.
And do you recall what date that incident occurred on?
I don't exactly date February.
I said February 27th, 2002. Does that sound about right?
Yes,
Just a correct record, we should have 2022.
You said 2002.
Oh, yes, 2022. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Where were you on February 27th, 2022?
at home,
And where is that residence?
28714 Parkview in Flat Rock.
Is that in, or what city is that in?
Flat Rock,
In County of Wayne?
yes.
Does Flat Rock fall under Huron Township?
We're right on the border. Yeah.
Okay. What was going on between you and Mr. Lloyd on February 27th?
He was threatening to harm himself and stuff like that after I had come home from being gone for the weekend.
So let's start from the beginning. So you said you were gone for that weekend. When did you return home?
Sunday, morning-ish, I think maybe around 10.
And when you arrived at home, what was your interaction like with Mr. Lloyd? Or Lloyd, sorry.
He was upset that I had, been gone and stuff like that, and he was just really upset. He went out to the car.
So when you say he was really upset, can you describe how he was acting to make you believe that he was upset?
He was yelling, he was crying,
What was he yelling?
just, I don't know how you could do this. This is our family,
And what was he referring to?
that I don't want to be in a relationship anymore.
Okay. When had you told him you didn't want to be in a relationship?
Back in January.
Okay. And prior to you arriving at 10 a.m., had you had contact with Mr. Lloyd?
Yes,
And what did that contact look like?
it was through text messages all night, just threatening, destroying my things, hiding my things because I wouldn't answer his phone call, saying he was gonna hunt me down at my family's homes, listing off, my dad, my sister. He was gonna wake the kids up and take them with him so that he could come find me if I didn't pick up my phone.
And what time frame was that happening before you arrived at 10 a.m. that Sunday?
That was that evening and then all throughout the night.
And when you say he was threatening you, can you specifically describe what he was saying?
I'm gonna object to ask the answer.
Objection overruled. You may answer the question, ma'am.
Over the night, he was just threatening, just, I'm gonna come find you. Just felt like it was just not gonna go good.
I'm
So, yeah,
sorry.
He was just threatening. I don't know exactly what you're asking me.
I want to know what sort of things he was saying to you for you to feel like he was threatening you.
I'm gonna renew my objection for ask the answer. I believe she said he was threatening to destroy her things.
I was just clarifying because she said she didn't understand my question. I can move on if you would like.
Thank you.
So when you arrived at 10 a.m. and had an argument with Mr. Lloyd, what happened after that argument?
I'm gonna object to assuming facts not in evidence.
The complainant already testified that when she arrived, the defendant was very upset. He was yelling, crying, threatening her, and so I'm describing that as an argument.
Objection overruled. You may answer the question, ma'am.
He then went outside and continued to message me saying that he was gonna harm himself. He was gonna show me the right way to do it. He sent me a picture of a knife that he had and said, I'm doing it now. Tell my children I love them. I'm fading fast. And that got me to go outside because I didn't want that to happen.
What did you interpret that to mean?
He was gonna kill himself in my driveway.
Okay. And so what did you do as a response?
I went outside and tried to talk to him
Okay. And where was he at this point?
in his truck,
Sorry,
in his truck,
in his truck. Okay. And where were you standing?
outside of his truck.
Okay. Was the door open?
No, at that time, the window was actually the window was up still
Okay.
at that point.
And so tell me what that conversation looked like between the two of you when you went outside.
Well, he was crying and I was trying to get him to stop, asking him, it's not worth all that. Don't hurt yourself. You can't talk like that. And then he rolled down the window and was still talking to me, but he had both the knives. He was holding them to his wrist, like, this is how you really do it. I'm gonna show you the right way. Holding them to his stomach, like, I'm gonna do it now. And I was just trying to get him to stop. And then I didn't seem like he was going to stop. So I pulled out my phone to call someone so that he didn't do that. And that's when he reached and grabbed my phone.
Okay. And when he grabbed your phone, at that point, did you indicate you wanted to contact the police?
Yes.
Okay. And when he grabbed your phone, what did he do next?
He grabbed my phone and I tried to get my phone back to say, no, give me my phone. I'm trying to call somebody. And he said, he held up the phone in one hand and he had the knife still in the other and said, if I find anything in this, you're done. I was terrified. I was scared.
What did you interpret him to mean by you are done?
He was going to kill me with whatever he could.
And how did you feel at that point?
I was scared.
What were you scared was going to happen?
That I was going to get hurt or he was going to hurt himself.
Can you describe you mentioned, did you say knives, plural?
He had two, yes.
Can you describe what the knives look like?
One, I'm not really good at knives, but it was like a bigger, like I would say hunting knife with a design on the handle, and the other one was just a little wooden one.
Which knife, if you remember, was he holding in his hand when he grabbed your phone?
The bigger one.
The one you described as a hunting knife?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that answer.
yes,
Had you seen that knife before?
yes,
Where?
in the home.
Was that the same knife that he sent you a picture of? Just right, or I guess prior to you coming outside?
Yes.
Okay. Once he made that threat to harm you, what did you do as a response?
Well, I'm gonna object to her characterization of threat to harm her. Ask her to rephrase that question.
You don't need to rephrase, ma'am. Answer the question, please.
I walked to my neighbor's house to get them to call the cops
Okay, and why did you do that?
because I felt like he was going to hurt me.
At that point, did you have your phone back?
No.
When you walked away, did you see what the defendant was, what Mr. Loy was doing?
Yeah, he was leaving.
Okay. And then what did you do once you spoke to your neighbors about calling the police?
I went back to my home and got my kids in the car to wait for the cops in case he came back. So I had everyone ready.
Say that again? Yeah.
I went back into the home and got my kids into the car until the cops came in case he came back. And so I had everyone ready in case I needed to leave.
Okay. Did Mr. Loy come back?
Yes.
And what did he do when he came back?
He came back and I rolled down the window a little and I told him that the neighbors were calling the cops for me. He might want to leave. And he instead went up on our deck with the knife and stabbed it into the deck and sat on it and threw up his arms like, okay, let's go.
Okay, what?
Oh, like, okay, come on.
Okay.
And then he
I'm
was
gonna
yelling.
object, yes, to strike that as speculation.
Judge, the complainant was describing what the defendant was doing with his hands. If anything, I would at least like for the record to show that she was waving her hands as if the defendant was saying, I guess, what anyone would interpret as come, if your hands are being waved in that motion, and that's exactly what she was doing.
I think it's sufficient that the record reflect that Ms. Akey was gesturing with her hands as if someone's to approach, but her
Okay.
speculation as to what Mr. Loy meant by that is beyond.
At this point, how are you feeling about what was going on?
I was scared, but I was happy that the cops were coming.
Do you see Mr. Loy, who we've been talking about today, in the courtroom?
Yes.
Can you please describe a piece of clothing that he's wearing?
Blue shirt.
Sorry, say that again.
A blue shirt.
Let the record reflect that the complainant has identified Mr. Loy as the defendant.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything else that you would like to share with the court about what happened that day?
Thank you.
I have no further questions.
Thank you.
You said you have 5 kids with Mr. Loy.
Yes, I do.
He's basically the caretaker for those 5 kids, right?
He watches them while I work because he doesn't. Yes.
So I just need you to answer my questions and not add your own commentary. You had lost one of your children that morning, is that correct?
No, that is not correct.
Was there an incident just prior to this where you called Mr. Loy and asked him to come help you find one of your
Just
children?
prior to the incident of what happened? No, I was gone that weekend, so no, that did not happen.
When you say it was alternating weekends, Mr. Loy was still living there, right?
Yes,
It was his home, right?
yes,
So what you're saying is every other weekend you were going out and partying and leaving him with the kids?
Objection,
never
Your
once.
Honor.
The basis of your objection?
I don't find that relevant where the complainant was going on the weekends when they had alternating parenting time schedule. Her whereabouts doesn't seem really relevant to the incident.
Goes to her credibility. She's saying alternating weekends. There is no parenting time schedule that I know of either. So I want the record to be clear about that, but it's to, Ms. Akey's credibility.
Objection overruled. Ma'am, you can answer the question.
What was the question again?
There was no, I'm sorry,
There was no parenting time. They're recorders, not stenographers.
sorry. So he lived at that house.
Yes.
There was no alternating weekends.
We had talked amongst each other because we were splitting
It's
up.
a yes or no.
Okay, well, like a document? No.
So every other weekend, you were leaving and going out and partying and coming back at the end of the weekend.
No. Every other weekend, I spent time with family. When I was away from my children, yes, but there was no partying. I don't party.
So Mr. Lloyd did not have any time away from the kids. He was always with them.
On the weekends?
When you're talking about alternating weekends, you're not saying that Mr. Lloyd did anything different. He was always there, right?
Most of the time, yes, he chose not to leave.
It's a yes or no. He was always at the house, yes or no?
Always, like every second? No.
On the alternating weekends, he wasn't leaving, right? He was still at the house.
Yes.
So it was only you every other weekend leaving.
Yes.
You went out to the vehicle after you said you were afraid he was going to kill himself. You said you went and stood next to the window.
Mhm.
Were you on the driver's side?
Yes.
How far away from you, the window were you?
I don't recall. I was a couple steps, enough to where I could hear him.
So when he threatened to harm you if you found anything in the phone, how far away from the vehicle were you at that point?
I was right next to the vehicle.
Did you step back?
After he took it?
After he allegedly threatened you,
Yes, I stepped back when I walked to the neighbor's house.
and did he stop you from walking to the neighbor's house?
He said, "What are you doing?"
Did he stop you?
No,
Did he get out of the car?
no,
And then when he came back, he didn't come up to your vehicle, right?
yes,
Did he try and beat you out?
no,
Did he ever touch you?
no.
Were you able to go back inside the house?
Yes,
So your fear was more that he would hurt himself, not really hurt you.
it was both.
So how were you afraid? If you were able to walk away and you did walk away, where was the fear?
Because he took my phone away from me when I wanted to call someone for help. And he said I was going to be done if he found anything that he did not like.
So the comment is what you're saying made you afraid.
Yes, he
But
could
he
go
did-
back in the
yes
house
or
at any
no?
time.
But then he did nothing to make it look like he was actually going to do anything.
Holding a knife in his hand.
So when you say you were going to call for help, it wasn't for yourself. You were calling for him, right?
At that point, yes.
Okay. Just hold on a second. Do any of your children have cell phones?
They do now. I bought them all when the no contact order was put in place, so he could talk.
So this
to
is a
them.
yes or no. I'm asking to
Okay.
strike her response. And I'm also asking the court to only answer the question that's asked to her. I have no further questions.
Thank you. Any redirect, ma'am?
Just a couple questions. Had you, prior to this incident, had you asked Mr. Lloyd to move out of your residence?
Yes, Jack, that it wasn't, anything that was asked on cross.
May I respond?
Yes.
It actually was, I think defense counsel opened the door to their living situation as to why the defendant was there every weekend, as she stated it, and why he did not leave on their alternating weekends. The defense counsel asked very specific questions about that, so now I'm following up as to the situation since the complainant was not able to actually describe their situation.
There's no opening the door. I know the prosecutors love using that term. There is no opening the door. My questions were specific to that Mr. Lloyd had never moved out, not this, what did she ask him to do? So it was not covered on cross.
Defense counsel is correct, ma'am.
If I may respond?
Absolutely.
So my understanding, defense counsel asked why Mr. Lloyd was at that residence and why he was remaining at that residence and whether or not that was his residence. I would like to clarify a lot of those questions because I don't think that the complainant was able to do so on cross-examination as to why Mr. Lloyd in fact continued to remain at that residence, why he did not leave on the weekends where they saw or had that alternating schedule, which was asked on cross-examination as to where he was, why he wasn't leaving, and why he was at that home.
I also, I think there would be a best evidence rule issue also. If there's some document where there was some sort of eviction, I think they also leading into, who's allowed to legally be on the property. If he's living there, there would have to be some legal writing that he was being evicted, or that's what the prosecutor's trying to allude to.
You think the only time somebody has to leave a property is if there's a legal writing?
Yes, there has to be some sort of writing. She's going to prove that. But was there an eviction? I don't know. I mean, this is part of the thing, part of cross. He lived there and she admitted that. So I also wonder if she impeaching her own witness.
I think both of those things are not anything that I'm trying to get into. I'm not discussing an eviction process or trying to impeach my witness. I'm merely trying to clarify their living situation at the time and why the defendant was remaining in their home on the weekends, which was asked specifically by defense counsel.
I think the question that triggered defense objection was you asked him to leave, or when did you ask him to leave, or something
I said,
along
"At
those
what point
lines.
Did you ask him to leave?" And the reason why I was asking that is for the complainant to be able to discuss why Mr. Lloyd was remaining in that home.
If you want to ask about the living situation, can you just ask about it?
Yeah, I was honestly just gonna lead up to that.
Okay.
I can go directly to that.
Would you please?
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Can you describe your living situation with Mr. Lloyd from the time in which you stated that you no longer wanted to be together to this when this incident occurred?
Yes, we both agreed on every other weekend, one of us was going to leave, and because he didn't have a job, he couldn't just move out, and I was accepting to that. And he would refuse to leave on his weekends just because, I mean,
Did Mr. Lloyd have a place to go?
Objection, so that's irrelevant. Also, it wasn't part of the subject clause.
I withdraw.
Thank you.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Akey, thank you for your testimony this afternoon. You may step down. Your next witness, ma'am.
The people have no other witnesses. Thank you.
Does defense intend to call any witness?
No,
Thank you. Argument, ma'am.
Judge, the people respectfully request that count one, the assault with a dangerous weapon, be bound over based on the evidence that was, the testimony evidence that was given today by the complainant, Ashley AP. The people believe that we have met our burden for probable cause to show that on the date of the incident on February 27th, that the defendant, Zachary Lloyd, did in fact brandish two knives, both in an intent to, or threats to harm himself and harm the complainant as well. The complainant made statements about the defendant holding the knife while grabbing her phone when she wanted to call the police. He made a statement about that she would be, I believe the words were, that she would be, or you are done. And the complainant interpreted that as he was going to harm her. She made statements about that, and that she was afraid of what he might do to her based on the fact that he grabbed her phone, didn't let her call for help, and was holding a knife in his hand while doing all of that. The complainant made statements about what she was feeling, why she was feeling the way she was. She stated that at that time, she felt like that the defendant would not only harm himself, but harm her. And again, because of the actions that the defendant was doing, which included holding the knife and making the statements to threatening to harm her. And all of that was led up to the fact that the defendant was threatening the complainant for, she said, the evening, the night before, up into the time when she arrived to that home at 10 a.m. on Sunday when this incident occurred. Furthermore, she said she went to the neighbor's house. Requested that the neighbors contact the police, and then came back, sat in the car. The defendant came back, brandished the knife again, and pretty much, like in the sense, stabbed it into their wooden porch. There has, for this specific charge for assault with a dangerous weapon, there does not have to be an actual assault. There does not have to be an actual injury. What the people must show by probable cause is that the defendant intended to put the complainant in some sort of immediate harm or immediate belief that a battery was to occur. And based on the testimony that was given, the people believe that we have established that burden. And with that, counts 2 and 3, if count 1 is bound over, counts 2 and 3, seeing as they are misdemeanors, would automatically carry over with the felony.
Thank you.
Well, the bind over in the felony, there's a requirement that there be a reasonable fear of immediate battery, and it was unreasonable and irrational fear of immediate battery. Just by saying I'm afraid, and that the comment of, I'm gonna, you're done, or however it was phrased, I apologize. If you found anything in her phone, she's standing next to the vehicle. She was able to walk away from the vehicle. This is, a domestic violence allegation, not a felonious assault. He never did anything holding the knife up or saying, I'm going to use this knife. It's just because he had the knife that she's saying that it's a felonious assault, which is not true. She was able to go to the neighbor's house, come back without anything happening. She was sitting in the vehicle. She didn't leave, even though she was in the vehicle and Mr. Lloyd got out. So I think that just her statements of being in fear are just for the court purposes and not in any actual reasonable fear of an immediate battery. That's it.
Anything else, Madam Prosecutor?
No, that is all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Court has had the opportunity to listen to the sole witness, Ashley Akey, in this matter. Court will find that the people have met their probable cause burden purposes of the exam. Mr. Loy will be bound over as previously charged. The next step in these proceedings is an arraignment on the information that will happen at the Frank Murphy Hall of Justice on May the 10th, 2022 at 9 a.m. Mr. Loy's previously entered bond with any conditions will continue. Anything else on behalf of the people?
Judge, I would like to address the no assaultive contact order if it is okay with Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
So, and I recognize I'm trying to be very careful with our request because I recognize the entity in which we are in and that it is not a civil proceeding. And I have talked extensively with the